Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversations. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
Because now I know when something happens in our lives that is unexpected, you have to go into it in order to ever have any hope of coming through it. So when you go, guess what? When you come out the other side, you grow.
Brought out more in me than I thought that I didn't even know that I had.
That has given all of us a great hope for what we can do with our own messages, our abilities to deliver, but most importantly, to deliver it in an authentic and very, very intriguing way.
Have you ever been in something or felt something where the only way you felt you could deal with it was to leave, get away? I thought that was the meaning of control. It took me 4.5 years to stop looking around the room of my life, of my journey, of my purpose, digging in cushions for a remote that never existed. Looking, re-looking, going back and upgrading, bringing in and pulling out things that do not serve you must go. Those things out in this world that are designed to bring us down, to keep us down, put their foot on our neck and whisper to us that we're never good enough, they don't whisper. They yell at us from all directions, top to bottom, bottom to top, side to side, side to side, corner to corner, and corner to corner, 365 days. When somebody asks you about yourself, don't you dare whisper. When they ask you to raise your hand, don't you dare half raise it. When they ask you something good about you, you scream it with all you have. Come on now, get up, get up. Tell me who you are. Show me who you are. Greatest truth of all, that not everyone has to remain lost.
And honey, I'll show you mine. I'll show you mine. Boy, I'm standing right here holding up a sign, shamelessly displaying my state of mind. But you walk right past me, pretending like you don't see what's yours for the taking tonight.
Man, everything is moving in slow motion. You can hear things going on, and maybe you guys can't. We hear them here in the studio. Little bit of a lag today, but we've dealt with that before, and we will make it through this time as well. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to today's installment of Bathrobe Moments. I am your host, Dr. Lauren, and I am partially in my right mind. Now, I heard you. Somebody said, and what's so different about that? Well, partially in my right mind, even less than usual. It has been one humdinger of a 2-week period for us. 2 weeks ago, if you all remember, if you're here daily, and I hope you are, we had, I can pull it. There she is. Can you see her? Get off this. Oh, let me get there. There's our little baby, Sade. Yes, look at her. Is she not just the most gorgeous? Of course she is. So we have the grand god baby is here. And so that was a big deal. We had the maternal grandmother here at our house the entire week of having the baby. She was supposed to come on one day, and then she came on a different day. That's what babies do. So that was exciting on one end, bringing in a new life to the family. And then what's today? I really don't know. Is today Tuesday? Yes. It's a big blur for us. Saturday evening, my husband, Brian, we lost his mother, Lohana. She was the Duchess to me. I referred to her as the Duchess. And just unexpected. She just, I'll just give you a brief rundown. She had dealt with juvenile diabetes all of her life, but recently, in the last couple of years, she's been on dialysis. And so she goes Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. She went in Friday, and they said, oh, was it Friday? Yeah, she went in for, it's a blur. I'm not kidding you. She went in Friday, or was it Monday? No, it was Friday. It was Friday. She went in Friday, and we found out that she tested positive for COVID. Don't know where she got it, probably there on Wednesday. Anyway, they kept her, and by, I don't know, midnight that night, she was on a ventilator that fast. And so it looked good for a minute, and we thought that they were moving her to a private room, a regular room, not ICU. And she, instead of going to a new room the next morning, she went to the upper room. So we were not expecting what we got, but living and dying go together, but it's still hard. You know what I mean? And so we have been, pray for us. It's my husband's family is very small. So it's just he, his brother, his father, and one aunt, and that's pretty much it now for them. So love, light, and healing. It is never easy. One of our guests today was just telling me backstage that she lost her mother in, I think, November. Mother? Was it Mother, Sally? Yes. I can see you. Yeah. And it's never easy. I've buried 2 mothers out of the 22. It's just never easy. So would you guys send some prayers to my husband, Brian, and his family? It's rough. But we're here. And you know what I'm excited about today? Did you guys know this, that there are approximately more than 8,000? I actually thought there were more. You would think there were more, but current numbers say that it's approximately 8,000 faith-based agencies that deal with adoption in the United States today. This is as of 2024, so might be a couple new ones. But who knows with what's going on in Washington with cutting different things and funding. But today we have a great institution, I guess you could call it, here today. Two of the women that are a part of it, I know there are at least one, two, three, I think four or five women that are currently, I think four, okay, that are working, Growing Intentional Families Together. It is a LLC, and they are all over the country, from California to Florida, Minnesota, and a couple of them are in California. One today has gotten up with the crack of dawn. Sharon is here. Sally Ankerfeld is here. Sharon Butler Obazi. Hopefully I'm saying the hyphenated name correctly. They are both here representing the organization, like I said, Growing Intentional Families Together. Now, I believe it was Sharon online well over a year ago, and was just so captivated by what I found that these women are doing. So I'm going to get them in here instead of reading much more. I'm going to get them in here, and they can take the show and run, because I am just good googly moogly. I am not kidding you. I got home around 4:30 this morning, made the trip. I had to, don't even ask, 3 states in 17 hours. And anyway, I said, well, should I lay down for a couple minutes? Nope, I will not do it until tonight. So bear with me, you guys. I'm doing my best. Plus, this is lava rock up here half the time. But I am so thrilled to have these women here today. We have a lot of kids in the world, in the United States, but a lot of kids in the world, but in the United States, that are seeking forever homes. The foster care system, the needle is not moving as much. We're short on foster parents, and we're short on just everything, workers, everybody. So the people that do the work that these women are doing here today, they need to be paid. I used to say like doctors and lawyers, but now I've changed that. They need to be paid like judges and trial attorneys. Seriously, they really do. They guard and take care of our most precious resource, just like the teachers and whatnot. So hats off to all of you who do that. Help me, won't you please? Put some hearts on the screen. We're going to bring in the two ladies that are here today, Sharon and Sally, and find out how we can help them help us help the kids in the world that are looking for forever families. Here they come down the hallway. You all put some hearts on the screen, won't you? It's our way of saying welcome virtually, as two ladies, two representatives of the great, great, great organization. Here they come. Here they come. Here they come. Growing Intentional Families Together. What a name. What a name. Good morning. How are you, ladies?
Good morning.
Sharon?
Yes.
You thought you were going to be sleepier than me today. No, I got you beat. How you doing out there in California? Thank you for getting up so early.
That was well, not only did I get up early, but I had computer issues. I was offline and I had to figure out how to get back online again. But I made it.
Thank you. Not even easy when you're wide awake, let alone, nodding out a little. Glad you got it worked out. Sally, how are you?
I'm fine. I'm Chicago time in Minnesota, so it's a little better than Sharon. But I
Yeah,
do like your title, Bathrobe Moments, because I thought, oh, I could have probably stayed right in my bathrobe.
you could have.
Yeah,
You could
but
have.
I appreciate you having us today, and it's exciting
Oh,
to be here.
for sure. Now, Sharon, that kind of looks like it could be a little um bathrobe-ish.
Oh no, this is not a bathrobe, darling.
Oh, that's a blouse.
Yes.
Well, what do they call those that ladies wear? Shifts?
Yeah, it's a over blouse kind of like.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah,
blouse,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
there's a it's on top. But I wanted to have a little bit of color this morning.
Well, you look great. You really do. And I wanted to ask, let's start with the name because I saw something earlier, and before I knew it, I was over on LinkedIn trying to wake up and see if I could focus. And I saw another organization that was very similar, and I hit it. I started following them, and it's called, what is the name? Growing. They're growing something. Growing parents. Growing parents. And I
Okay.
said, yeah, I'm gonna find out who it is. And I said, I wonder if they're attached to you all. Probably not, right?
No.
Okay, so growing intentional families together is based where?
In Minnesota. Our home office is in Minnesota, but our coaches are all over the United States. We're
Okay,
everywhere. California, Florida, Philadelphia, and Minnesota.
okay, so there you go. Coaches. Now that's something a lot of you go, what is she talking about, coaches? So it says growing intentional families together, LLC, individual and family services. So what all do you all do? More than just one thing, that's for sure. Can you shed some light on that for the audience, please?
Sure. Well, we provide services to the triad, which means all positions within the adoption spectrum. So we have the birth parents, we have the adoptee, which I am one of, and we also have the adoptive parents. And we work together to support all three throughout with whatever situation they're in. It depends upon the individual to bring their goal for meeting with us to the table. But basically, at the center of our program is actually the adoptee. So we're focusing on helping the adoptive parents understand the adoptee and the birth mother understand the adoptee and the adoptee trying to understand themselves. I mean, I've been trying to do that for a long time. But anyway, um, we also provide education to adoption agencies that ask us to assist them with training in specific things like grief, for example, or they could have other issues dealing with loss. And we try to help their clients, typically adoptive parents, prospective adoptive parents, understand what they're going to be facing once they adopt a child.
Okay.
And then we also have a course that we've just launched, and basically it's a course where we're training coaches how to coach the triad. So we're coaching from the triad for the triad because sometimes love is not enough.
Absolutely true there. So the triad are the three that make this possible. Interesting. So, because man, things have changed. Let's go to the beginning. I want people to understand this. So there are private adoptions, and there are open. Is that still the way it is?
It's mainly open adoptions at
Mainly.
this point,
Okay.
but yes, there are private adoptions would be something that would take place between like an attorney or maybe a social service agency and a parent, an expectant parent perhaps, and that is maybe considering placing a child. A public adoption that can take place more with an agency as well, but that might involve foster care or other other avenues of adoption. There's also international adoption.
Oh, yeah.
International adoption. But
Right.
those are the main ones. But the opened and closed, that is a definition that has evolved over time. But basically, the understanding now
I'm
is
not
that
sure what's
open
going on.
adoption is what we know is better for the children, that rather than this nebulous who's out there, my family of origin, who are they? So that's the definition of open adoption: some contact between the family of origin and the child or the adoptee.
So is that the more prevalent way nowadays? Is where it's open, where they can have really?
Some level, yeah.
Wow. Okay. So, so we must be having more people who give the children up, open to having communication. It used to be, they turned away, and I don't know if some of it was because of the situation. There was some shame attached if it was a young girl, that sort of thing. But so many different reasons. And I think that that's a great deal, that it's open now. What do you have any idea? Like 1 out of 5, let's say. I'm shocked. I did not know people were so open to saying, yes, they may contact me, meaning the adopted child. I'm adopted. And
Yeah, anecdotally, I think, don't you think, Sharon, that that's more the practice than not? And my experience has been with families of origin that they've always wanted that. I think society in the past has asked first families to truncate their relationships. Either societal pressure of shame back in the day,
yeah,
when women who were expecting were shuttled away for 9 months, and they kind of, family would lie about where they were. That baby scoop era, it was an era such like that, and there's lots of pain surrounding that. So my experience has been that connection has been desired more than not. I mean, not always,
yeah.
but mhm.
Now, I just got to say, and it's so unusual. I'm shocked that I'm saying it, being adopted myself. And Sharon, you might want to ring in on this, being an adoptee yourself. But I would think that the adopting family would be a little worried about connecting with the family of origin because, what if they want to be involved more than, what I'm saying? I thought that's why they always kept it kind of separate. So what's going on with that? Why do you think it is that now it's more prevalent to have the connection? I mean, I'm all for it if everybody involved is, but sometimes it does seem to bode better to not go that route, right? So it is a choice, right?
Well, it's a choice for everybody except for the adoptee. The birth parent and the birth mother, the birth parents and the adoptive parents have a say because they're the adults in the room. But the adoptee doesn't really have a choice. Myself, personally, I was adopted into a domestic adoption, same race parents, in a community that lacked diversity. So that was my upbringing. But being in a closed adoption, I was a private adoption also. I wasn't through the foster care system. Some of my siblings were, but I was not. And in that, I never had any information about who my parents were, my birth parents. It was closed off. Children's Home Society did not share any information with my parents about me. And until my brother was about 10, and he was demanding to talk to his birth parents, did we even consider anything like that? It was like boo-hooed. And actually, the adoptee feels so guilty about, even bringing that up to their parent, because the parent, we feel, has sacrificed, and people come to the house and tell them how wonderful they are, and everything else. And so we were feeling like, we were in debt to our parents for even finding us and bringing us to their home, because after all, we ate 3 meals a day, we had clothes on our back, and we were not at all in any kind of jeopardy. So, and being in a home where birth parents are not discussed is how I was raised. But now, a lot of birth parents and adoptive parents are having a lot of communication. I'm not saying that they come to every Thanksgiving dinner, but
Right.
there is an opportunity for them to talk. In fact, I was watching a story the other day about a birth parent who chose not to have any interaction with their child. And the adoptive parent was sending to the adoption agency letters and photographs every year. For as the child was growing, she had sent another letter. And so finally, when the reunion came and the child was able to finally, or adult really, was able to talk to her birth mother, at first she rejected her, and then she said, "Come on in, okay, I'll have a conversation." So they went to the adoption agency, and there was tears everywhere in that room, in the audience, because it was just like an amazing thing to watch this this history unfold before the birth mother. And so things back, I'd say until like the 90s, maybe, people started talking more about open adoption. And now there's a trend for agencies to want to interact with the birth mother and give her a seat at the table. There's nothing binding for an adoptive parent. If they sign a thing and say, okay, we agree to talk to the birth parent, they can change their mind at any time. So it's not an open door policy, and the adoptive parent does have, the upper hand, more or less, with the communication piece of this. But it does happen.
So many different. It's such a different place nowadays. The world of adoption. It has changed in many ways and advanced and grown. Whereas I have to say, unfortunately, foster care in many ways has not. It just hasn't. So I'm grateful for organizations like yours. How did it get started? Who's the brainchild behind this, and what was the immediate need? What made you all say yes? We need to do this.
I'll defer to Sally.
Oh, well, it started with some of us who were in a coaching academy to become certified coaches. We were talking about life and sitting around one day at lunch and realized we were all adoptive parents.
Oh,
And we started talking about our experience and how we were really excited about the coaching model because the coaching model is about capability. It's about helping people reach their goals. It's about helping people identify where they want to go. And we said, wouldn't that be great if the coaching model could be for people within the adoption constellation too? Because many of us had had experiences, and therapy is very important and necessary. And there is a space within the support system for people that could use some help, and that is skilled accompaniment, a place where it's not a support group, because support groups are good too, but that's more talking about where people are at and just empathizing. But skilled accompaniment is that which helps people get to a new place, and in a way that is ethical and responsible for the person who is accompanying them, which is pretty much what coaching is. And so, hey, we said we think that people in the adoption constellation, adoptive parents and families, and families of origin as well, and certainly the person who was adopted. Everybody could benefit from that kind of access to that kind of support. And so we started growing intentional families together with the idea that being intentional about how we are together as a family, we can help people thrive and families thrive. And Sharon and I and the other adoptive parents have grown to realize that that there's a connection, whether we're present or not, of all three main stakeholders within adoption. So, excuse me, I think about my my kids' families of origin quite a bit, and I know they do too.
Mhm.
I know that my even though I've never met some of my kids' families of origin, I know that they're thinking too about them, that they're in our minds and our hearts, and they have an influence in how we are as a family, for instance. And so we call it the trispective approach. That when we're coaching, we help people acknowledge and grow into the idea that part of them is each of these stakeholders in adoption. And when we silence one of them, or any of them, it's not as healthy as when we can communicate even within ourselves with those different parts of ourselves. Sharon, you can add too, but that's my start.
Yeah, well, Sally, I to answer your question, Leon, I joined the group in 2020, and I was working as a coach independently, doing my work, trying to, after I got certified as a coach, trying to figure out how I could help adoptees. My goal. Didn't matter if they were foster or private. It didn't really matter. I just wanted to help people. And so through this whole process of talking to adoptees and trying to help them meet their goals and overcome limitations that they felt they brought to the table. And what happened is that, I ended up making a lot of referrals to therapists because adoptees are somewhat broken. They have limitations that they're not aware of. They're sometimes in crises. And so, that's what was revealed to me with the whole community. And I realized, this is really needed. But in order to get my arms around the whole situation, I had to start with a parent. Because if I didn't help the parent understand what they were up against and the whole psychology and the information that is led by trauma that this child brings with them, then I wasn't going to be able to help the adoptee at all. So I met with Sally and our other individuals that make up our organization, and decided to join that group after they invited me. So now I work with Growing Intentional Families Together, and like Sally said, we are really doing a trispective connectivity for people that come to us for assistance, because if you don't recognize all the people that are involved, there won't be any growth. And so
Absolutely.
that's what I'm trying to do now.
So I'm curious, what would you call yourselves? I mean, because the coaching I have never heard of. I think it's a brilliant thing. We need more of whatever you are to help recruit and reach. It's not something you hear people talk about a lot. When I was getting ready for this show, I was like, where do I reach for information? I mean, I went to your LinkedIn and your website, and I was like, this never comes up. It never comes up. I'm not kidding you. It never comes up. This conversation does not come up. And I'm an adoptee myself. And I'm like, what is that? Well, because think about it. When you're out for dinner or at, different things, different functions, it's not, how the kids doing and how so-and-so, she's in college by now, right? Yeah. And what about y'all over here? Ever thought about adopting? It's not the kind of thing that just rolls off your tongue. So I wanted to get into, first of all, how do people find you? How do they know they even need you? Because the coaching is intended to do what? So I'm thinking to prepare the potential family, not just the parents, because there could be other children as well, and they need to be prepared, right? So what is it you all really do? What's the first thing when the phone rings? What's the first thing what's the first transaction? What goes on?
Well, the first thing that happens when the person calls is that we're, of course, trying to assess who they are. And we begin with a discovery call. So in a discovery call, you're actually sitting down with the person and talking to them about, what is happening with them in their lives, how are they feeling. But, to take it back a step, where coaches are pretty prominent now. I mean, there's a lot of coaches that are coaching in the corporate world, and you see them all the time with executives and CEOs, and they're helping the corporate world get aligned. Well, we're working on a smaller spectrum, of course, because we're working with families that actually need assistance. And, people find us through referrals mostly. I know you want to add to that, Sally. I can see you.
Oh,
I can see you moving around.
no, I think you're right. And I want to add that since we're not an adoption agency, we don't facilitate adoptions.
Right.
In fact, we promote and believe that first family preservation is the ultimate goal, and that adoption should be only when necessary. And we've got in our society, we have a lot of work to do to turn the tide and put the focus on first family support. So some of these things so it doesn't have to happen in the first place. But we are here if number one, people are considering adoption. Sometimes we see that there's a need for people to think more about it and to have strategic questions asked to them. There's not often a space for that. Like, people go to an adoption agency perhaps, and they might ask questions, but do they have a space where they can say honestly, well, I'm not sure about it, or, well, my beloved potential parenting partner isn't as on board, or those of that nature. So we do before adoption discernment coaching, where we talk about that, and then we're also there for people in the midst of the process. And then we're also obviously there for after, all that after stuff is what we're there for too. But while we're doing that, we feel there's a responsibility for us to make sure that we're also working on the other end, meaning that we're making sure that we support policies and practices that reduce the chance of a child being separated from their families of origin. Because what parent, and I'll say this as an adoptive parent, I would never want my child to go through what my children have gone through. I wouldn't, because that's a separation that should never, no one should ever have to experience that kind of trauma. So as I am myself an adoptive parent and love my children dearly, I love them enough to say, if it could have been different, I would have wanted that for them. So we do the coaching with that understanding and that sensitivity to the fact that this is not something that anybody would want anybody to have to experience. I went off on a little bit of there, but that's like Sharon said, that's kind of what we do. We assess where people are at. I'd say word of mouth for sure, but people who also have not had a lot of success with the therapeutic model within their situations, because sometimes that just isn't working. It's more like I need to think about now, and I need to look forward a little more. They reach out.
Yeah.
Also.
There's so much to unpack when it comes to the adoption spectrum, all of it. even more, I would think, than just the fostering side, because they don't always go together. They don't always go together. Um, and there's so many things that can be missed or left out, um, um, on purpose or accident. There's so many things, pieces of the story, and whatnot. So let's go to the agencies, for instance, Catholic Charities. A lot of people are aware of Catholic Charities. They're huge. They've been around for decades, responsible for a large number of the adoptions here in the private adoptions here in the United States. And I wanted to ask, so when did organizations like yours first hit the scene? Do you know? When did they become a thing?
Well, that's a good question because I don't think that people thought of us as being a part of the continuum. They saw maybe the therapist as being the answer, and they saw maybe doctors trying to help their patients. No one considered a coach as a part of the whole part of recovery, or the whole part of goal processing. They really didn't see us as a part of that. So I don't know the date per se, but I do know that when coaches started coming into fruition back in the 80s, I mean, there was always an opportunity for a coach to pick their niche. And so some people felt like they wanted to work with the corporate world, so they do business coaching. And some people felt like it was better to work with people. So that's how practitioners got into the life coaching spectrum. And so that's where we find ourselves now. But I did want to say, Leon, that with our house and mine up, we had domestic adoption, private, and foster kids at the same time. So sometimes they don't mix, but in our situation, they did. Because my mother decided that she wanted to reach beyond us. And so we also had foster kids in the home.
Yeah.
And so, we were just basically providing a temporary place for them to be, because their mothers had decided not to keep them. And they wanted to place them with a parent that they felt could help them. And so we did both of those things. So as you said that, it made me think about, how sometimes those pathways do cross.
They do. And it happened in my house, for a little different reason, because, I was what was known as an illegal adoption, which in the African American community, there's a lot of it, especially between families.
Right.
The grandmother who the child thinks is the mother, or the cousin that the kid thinks is the mother or the father. And they're really, it happened in our family. Mm-hmm. I replaced a child from that family who we thought was a cousin and didn't even know it until her funeral. Oh. The adopted mother's funeral, when he got in the limo with the rest of us kids. And I, at the time, did not know that I wasn't their biological son. When Bobby got inside that limo, I was Larry. Right. He was Bobby, the cousin.
Right.
And when we got back in to ride back to the house from the church service, from the funeral service, it had all come out on the steps of the church. Oh, well, this is really Lauren.
Mm. Wow.
Right. And Bobby's really our brother. It's just cray. Just these family secrets, right? So, when people come to you, what is the number one thing they need from you? Guidance, understanding, maybe how to choose who's going to help them with their adoption. What is the first thing you help people understand about the entire process, because there's so much.
Yeah, I think I'm going to let Sally answer this too, but I think for me, the first thing they're looking for is connection. They want someone who understands their experience and their position. And so they want to be seen, they want to be heard. So in coaching, that's what we provide, is a platform for them to be seen and heard, and an opportunity for us to support them in whatever way we can. So Sally, I'll let you answer the second half of that.
Well, I think that's spot on. Connection and I think openness, and somebody who's not quick to offer advice or answers, because sometimes that's what happens. Well, you should do this or you should do that. But somebody who can really take the time to listen, to understand their point of view, to ask them and help them figure out where they want to go. But in the end, somebody who will allow them to make that decision on their own, on where they want to go, whatever it is. It could be an adoptive parent or prospective adoptive parent. It could be, wanting to decide things. It could be somebody already parenting, or it could be an adoptee, or it could be any of those constellation members, or even the first mother. But where do they want to go? What's their goal? And it's really refreshing for people to have somebody, and we've actually had people say it too. Somebody's finally listening to me,
Mm-hmm.
and somebody's finally not thinking in their head what I should be doing, but they're actually letting me talk and figure it out on my own.
Yeah.
Because a lot of things within adoption is controlled by other
Oh, yeah.
people too.
Right.
Yeah.
Outside, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, when folks come to you all, I'm assuming that they must come from all over the country, maybe even the world, right? So when you guys are coaching, you have to know a lot, it would seem. You have to know the different laws and rules and protocols that vary from state to state, correct? No, you don't.
No.
So you stay okay. So you stay outside of the realm of all the paperwork and stuff that people have to go through wherever they decide to take their need to adopt, right?
Right.
So they come to you ahead of that, I'm assuming.
They can come to us at any point throughout the development of the child, or even before they have a child. And the reason we don't have to know about the regulations of the county or the district that the person is adopting from or through, because we're not involved in that process. The social worker comes and does a home study. The agency does a match. And so that we're not in their lane. We're in our own lane. We help them as individuals with their individual problem. And so for that reason, it's not necessary for us to understand the regulatory requirements, because we're not involved in that process.
Who takes you more seriously? The families or the agencies? I already know the answer. Okay, let's just put it out there. Do the agencies do they take you seriously? Because you weren't always around, and then they're probably thinking, who are they? What do they know? That's what we do. How do you go about creating those relationships with the powers that be that can really make these adoptions happen for people that, desire them so badly?
Well, I'm just going to say that I think that our interaction with agencies is it's like eating an elephant. We take one bite at a time.
Oh.
A relationship with agencies, one group at a time. And they get referred to us by someone who has oversight or interaction with the specific agency. And so they can't ignore us because we're part of the triad and we're part of the people that they're actually working with. So, we come to the table with that lived experience, and we also bring our coaching aptitude. So we have a complete toolkit of processes and information that we can provide to an agency. So, initially they were trying to ignore us, but we won't be ignored.
I know
So
that's right.
we're making as much noise as we possibly can, and we're networking not just with agencies, but with infertility clinics and with attorneys. So
Yes.
we're talking to anyone who could be confronted with the process of adoption in their lifetime.
I love that. That was on my list, IVF right at the top, because that is something that, over the years has become more and more accessible, as far as people being able to remember back in the day, it was like you had to be like really rich or know somebody or whatever. Now it's a little more um, um, attainable for people. But then there's people that do it and it still is a dead end road for them. So the adoption route is exactly where they need to start looking. So the timing and whatnot too. I can't even imagine the questions that you all get that you're like, dang, they had to ask that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right. You seem like you would be the place where people would go when they can't get answers anywhere else. Boy, are we glad we found you. Now we can finally get some answers because you're not the other side. You know what I'm saying? You're kind of just there. This y'all are something else. I'm just saying. I are there others? Are there other organizations like yours that you maybe work with or refer? Are you guys the only ones?
Well, there are individual people who are doing adoption coaching. So they're also accompanied families, individuals, and the like. In terms of agent adoption coaching agencies or firms, we're not an agency. I don't want to use that word because that makes it sound like we're involved in placement or something. We're a firm of coaches. I don't know if there are any other groups like us at this time. And that's one reason why we're also doing the coaching, adoption attuned coaching certification course, is because we want to have some influence as well on training people on the nuances of coaching if they're going to be coaching within the adoption constellation. So we feel like we're, in terms of a group, I think we're one of the first groups, but there are some excellent other coaches out there who do coach in the adoption realm, and also probably do some training at agencies for their prospective adoptive parents, like we have done. So agencies are starting to recognize us in that way. And I do want to say too that personally, if there's a one-on-one situation, what I mean by that is, like, let's say I'm coaching a family who's starting the adoption process and they want to know more. It's interesting how an agency, they might report to the agency that they're learning things and they're thinking about things. The agency is like, well, where are you getting that? Well, I'm working with, this adoption coach. And they'll be like, well, that's really good information we're hearing that you're learning, so it can be an advantage for people to think about that in terms of their personal growth to be the best they can be if they're going to take this step. Now, that I'm talking just in the adoptive parent realm. For instance, I had a young man from overseas who found us online, and he wanted to know the nuts and bolts of how to adopt, and so we started setting about doing that for him. It's like, well, where do you look, where you live, and those kinds of things. But then we got into, what kind of trauma might this child have experienced, because he was thinking of foster care and all this. And in the end, he said he felt like the coaching prepared him more for being a parent than for receiving a child, although we did go through some of those things as well. So that's really our goal, is to create awareness with families and support them.
There's a lot. People have no idea. There is just so much. And your hands are kind of tied because they don't have to give you anything.
No, we're neutral. We're
You're
totally neutral.
Right.
Mhm.
So, okay. Let's start here. Let's start with vocabulary. When we went on tour last year in May, we went to Romania, right? I wanted to see what it was like because they had the thing in the 90s, if you guys remember, with the orphans. Now, that's one thing. They still use the word, right? Orphans, orphanages. Now, when we started prepping to go and we started having calls and whatnot, I remember, I'll never forget it. It was Maureen Flatley, my connection at the State Department, Capitol Hill, in foster care. She has, 30 some bills passed through Congress in her time on the Hill for the protection of children. And I remember one of the first things she said to me was, yeah, Lauren, when I came aboard, most of our states in the United States had stronger laws protecting their fish in their individual states than they had protecting the children in those individual states. That's how bad it was.
Wow.
And I was like, what? Because when we came together, which was at the beginning of this career, after the Gold Cast and the 22 Mothers came out, I found myself inside this as the work, right? Never saw it coming. It was more of a shame piece for me, and I was trying to do better, and look what it did. So I learned a lot. First of all, she said to me, I have been praying for a new voice for foster care reform. And I woke up to your invitation on LinkedIn this morning, and I was thinking, why would she need a new voice? But I get it, because, for instance, let's go to the trash bags.
Mm-hmm.
I have had gag orders put on me when I'm speaking for a foster care type event, especially when it is being promoted by a specific state or jurisdiction, not private organizations. For instance, the Purple Project in Ohio, not, and like you're a private organization, not from you all, but from the powers that be. Almost like, well, we don't want to talk about that today, and please leave that out, that sort of thing. And I'm like, wait a minute, how are you gonna put a gag order on the truth? Now, kids are still being handed trash bags.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. And you guys being outsiders, do you hear about it? I mean,
Oh, yes.
okay, so why is that still happening when tote bags and even the bags at the grocery store that you can buy for $1 or whatever, that are, so you don't take the plastic ones, you bring your bag in, the recyclable.
Yep.
What about
Right.
Why is it still a thing? Who is it that thinks it's okay to hand a child that's already inside of some form of trauma anything that has to do with garbage?
Yep. Not adoption attuned at all. And here's the interesting thing too, is I support another organization they are young people who are either adopted or had been in foster care, aged out of the system, who train social workers, train the trainer. And this is one thing they always say to the agencies or whoever they're training: do not do that. It might be expedient, it might seem, but there are so many places where you can get suitcases and you can get things that are dignity, things with dignity, and that communication and what it says, yeah, it's really a awful experience, and I do know it still goes on, sadly.
Yes.
Sharon?
I was going to say, we try to educate adults that come to us and are thinking about adoption or have adopted, who might even have just a twinkle in their eye about the idea of adopting, and don't know whether or not they're going to do it. We try and guide them with the education that we provide, so that they'll know, what words to say, what attitude to bring to the table. Language matters, and how you speak to someone who is adopted, or who is considering the adoption process. Need to find out what.
Uh-oh, she froze on us.
Oh, okay.
How they can want to express themselves in the process of educating them necessarily, or telling them what they have to think. They have to bring to the table in a coaching environment their thoughts and their feelings. And so we do use confidentiality and privacy in the process of coaching, but it's very, very important that we also bring honor to all the parties that are involved.
Thank you. Now, Lori wants to know, and this is a great question, because wow, I'm seeing that right there. There's interest. She wouldn't be asking if there wasn't interest. What is the coaching fee? I didn't even know it was a thing. And what are they officially called? Adoption coaches?
Mm-hmm.
Just okay. Yep. Adoption coaches. What's the fee to get trained?
To get trained as one?
To be certified, yeah.
Okay, so I didn't know if her question was that, or to be trained by us, we have the course that we've launched. Right now it's $700, $699 promotional fee for 20 hours of intense training around it for those who are from the adoption constellation, either certified coaches or mental health professionals. So we would like people to have some background in those two areas to take that course.
Okay.
So that is on our website. The coaching fee, if someone wanted to receive services from us, we have different coaching packages that are online. Generally, it's 5 sessions we suggest at least, or 12 is even more ideal, to be able to have some of the change that a person may want to have. And you can look at that on our website as well.
Okay.
The coaching fees. Yeah.
And we have that. We have those. We have your LinkedIn, and we also have the I can't believe that this hour. I'm looking up there, I'm like, that clock is not right. Did I tell you guys this already when we were on the other call, that we need to do a 90-minute TV special?
Oh, yeah. We'd love that.
We really do. And I don't even know if that's enough. We probably need 2 of them. I want to ask you real quick. We're just going to go over today a little bit, if that's just a few minutes. I want to ask you this. Do people still only want to adopt babies, little ones? Because, you get past a certain age and, they just don't want you. I was that age when I went in, 9, 10, 11. We were purgatory. When they came looking, meeting kids and stuff, they always looked for the little ones. They'd be the ones that they'd clean up and take to the different things, the adoption fairs and stuff. They spent more time on the little ones than they did us, the bigger ones, because we were headed for congregate care in most cases. The group home situation, no one wanted the older kids. Is that still pretty much the way it is today? Is that what you're seeing out there?
Well, I'm not an adoptive parent, but I will say there is a preference for children that are younger. Only because of the myth that they have in mind that they can reshape and help this child become exactly what they want. And
Right.
so they think that if I have a baby, doesn't come with any baggage, I can train and help and support this child, and it'll be a little mini me, and we'll have a wonderful life. So that's a myth that people bring to the table, and why they want, it's a motivation for why they want to adopt babies.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Uh, so many things.
Yeah.
How to get ready for the questions that are going to be asked. All kinds of things, and things like this. What about this? I gotta know, because you guys, I trust your opinion. I trust what you're going to tell me. Are they talking about any prior religious background of a child that is being adopted? The reason I asked that is because I was raised Seventh-day Adventist. They picked me up on a Tuesday afternoon, dropped me off later that Tuesday afternoon, and that night for dinner, I was staring at a pork chop, thinking, oh my God, if I eat this, first of all, my mother, who's been dead just a week, will roll over in her grave, because we were Seventh-day Adventist. We didn't eat pork and barely ate meat at all. The people that they dropped me with didn't know anything about it. They thought I was uppity and had an attitude. So we were off to a bad start from the start. Because I'm a kid, I'm really thinking I'm going to burn in hell. I don't understand it. I've never tasted it in my entire life. Things like that. Are they doing things to try to, that caused another type of trauma for me.
Yes.
Instantly, because it was already us and them. And, I was African American, and the first family they dropped me at were Caucasian. They didn't prepare me in the car for that. None of it. Absolutely none of it. And I'm just wondering, do you guys help with any of that kind of stuff? Because you did say the adoptee, so the kids, right? You guys do get to work with them? Okay. What slack do you pick up with the kids that everybody else has forgotten or overlooked? Anything that you feel is important?
Well, if we can assist families prior to adoption, those are the kinds of adoptee-centric viewpoints we promote. We ask parents, what are you, in other words, we want prospective adoptive parents to realize that it's not the child fitting into their view of things. Just like Sharon said, that's a myth. It's that we give what the child needs. And in those kinds of situations, in fact, one of the questionnaires we do ask about religious background, so that the adopting from foster care, I do know that is still a kind of a blind spot. And it really falls a lot on the social workers to have sensitivities around the religious preferences of the children, of the child, and also sensitivities around here you're going to be going to a white family's home, but once again, preparing the child for that, but really who does have to prepare more? Who really should be thinking about that? It would be the adoptive parents. Are you bringing somebody into a home on, way out on the farm somewhere where they've never been to a farm and they've never been with white-bodied people before?
Right.
And they have, skin tone and the community. What about the community? How's the community going to welcome them? I know, Sharon,
Exactly.
you had that feelings, right?
Exactly.
Before. Yeah.
And things like, I've talked to parents who adopted children of color, right? And they are of a different race. And then they realize after them, oh my God, hey, can you help us? How do you do their hair? That
Right.
kind of thing,
Yep.
just things like that. And play dates and history. You know, how do you celebrate Black History Month or Kwanzaa or whatever? How do you know? It's just so much. So there's that piece. Um, I wanted to ask you about this. Have you heard? How are we doing on the rehoming? A lot of people don't even know about that term, rehoming, which is, and I know kids who, well, I should say peers of mine, grown adults. I know one guy who was rehomed 9 times.
Wow.
Means he was adopted legally and returned
Mm. Mhm.
9 times before he wound up with the family he's with today, and very happy with them. But he was 17 by the time he hit that number. And
Wow.
I've met people who are in their 20s, 30s, who still long to be adopted. I didn't know that was a thing. We actually had a woman, my husband and I, seriously ask us if we would adopt her. She was 50 years old. And I was like, girl, quit playing. And she was like, I'm not. I don't have a family.
Mm.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of forms of adoption. Adult adoption is a real thing.
It's a real thing. I know a kid who was 25 and he got adopted.
Mm-hmm.
25 years old, got adopted. And it meant the world to him.
Yeah.
So there's so many different things. I think you all need to write a book as an organization, you know, or a really nice thick PDF or something, with these need to know things in there, just to help people get on the current page, because no one is talking about it. And I include myself in that no one, and I don't know why. I want to do better. I really want to do better. Do you all offer any type of program other than the coaching, just for those of us who would like to be current with our information?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not looking to adopt, but should I run into people who it might be a viable option, I would like to know a little bit about what I'm talking about. Is there anything like that?
Well, we do have mini courses that are online that you can. They're very inexpensive courses that you could take, Dr. Lauren. Even anybody. That's a great question. And that might be something we could actually make more specific to just those who want to know more in general. But we have Is Adopting a Child Right for Me course on there. We've got lots of different courses. You know your adoption library. That's another one that would be great for people who want to support families. What kind of books are good books to give as a gift? Might be one, but you can take a look on there and see, because some of those might be really good to just adoptee grief. We have that one on there, or grief and adoption, that would really maybe help people understand, even if they want to be supporters and they want to be more in the know. That would be the way to do it, to take a course. Some are 20 minutes, some are 40 minutes, as if. Put yourself in the shoes of the person who might take that. That would be a great way to develop more understanding.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's so much. Siblings that get torn asunder,
Yep.
Separated. I remember that. That would be the thing that most kids would be the saddest about.
Yes.
Would be their siblings, their brothers and sisters, where they're at, or sometimes they'd be in the same town, sometimes they wouldn't know, they wouldn't tell them anything, stuff like that. There's what about man, we need a whole bunch of time. I want to ask this too. What about therapy for the new family as a whole? Because there's questions that come to the new family from outsiders. There's questions that come to the adoptee from outsiders. There's questions that I remember, even though I wasn't adopted, I was in foster care, but being in that position, there were questions and things that I knew were off limits. You could tell they didn't want you to ask about those types of things, like, can you call my cousin? You know, just things that, you know what I'm saying, that don't stop being a part of you just because you're not a part of them anymore. You're taken away, but you still have an entire life in here oftentimes. And there's just so many different things. You guys have really taken a big bite of that elephant. No, seriously. And it is tough to chew. It is. How do you stay encouraged? Because it can't be easy. This is not an easy thing you're doing.
Well, for me personally, I think I stay encouraged because I look at this as being more than just a business. It's really a path, and it's my mission to do this work. And so, seeing as how this is how I came into the world, you know, it's a real lived experience, you know, that hasn't stopped, you know, just because I'm an adult now. And so I want to give back and help others to overcome whatever situation they're in. So, you know, that's how I feel about it.
I feel that way too, and also the lived experience of adoptive parenting. When I see people feel supported and cared for by one of us, I think that's all I need to feel uplifted. And my colleagues are amazing people, and that has been one of my greatest joys, is to be able to work with colleagues within the adoption constellation, not just adoptive parents, but others, where we can really hold each other accountable and be supportive and caring. We try to model that within our organization as well, within our adoption coaching firm, what we want to do to give to others. And so that's to me, that's, you know, it's all those little sparks, those little piece of a smile I may get from somebody, or just a kind of like oh yeah, I know somebody's here for me kind of feeling, makes it all worthwhile and can erase a lot of the stressful parts pretty
Yes,
quickly.
yes. Last question, unfortunately. What about full disclosure? A lot of people are afraid that they may not be getting the full story on a child, as far as their emotional baggage, their mental health diagnoses or the lack thereof. Understanding, for instance, if a child is on lithium or Adderall or things like that, that's because someone said, put them on it. He's hyper. That's what they tried to do with me. You see what I mean? He's hyper. That's what they called it back then. They didn't have ADHD yet. And, you know, I spent most of the time in the hallway at school, my desk, because I'd finish my work and I'd start talking and distracting people, right? But look what I do today. I get paid for talking. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I just, do you all, what do you see with that? A lot of people are afraid of adoption because how long they've been in the system. You know, what do we have to worry about? Are they on the spectrum? They used to be, we were called special needs back. Well, actually, it was something a little worse, a little more harsh. Special ed is really what it was called. They put us in special ed because we moved a lot. But special needs, and I believe that all kids are special and all kids have needs. So when I say vocabulary, that is one of the things too that I would hope. Is that changed?
I think it is changing, but that full disclosure piece, I think there's this tendency to want to not share because the fear that people won't want to enter into a parenting relationship with a child. But you know what? The more you know, the better. There are people out there for all different kinds of situations, and guess who it hurts the most in the end, right? The child. And when you asked about full disclosure, I thought you were going to ask how much do we share with the child about the child's own self, and that is also full disclosure because it's them, it's who they are, it's what brought them to the situation. Withholding from children their own information, but then maybe other people knowing it, is so damaging. So I think full disclosure all around, in every arena.
I agree. And how do you feel about this? Do you feel that the day should come where prospective adopting parents should undergo a psychological evaluation?
Why not? Yeah.
Right. I believe so. I believe that would help the recidivism rate for rehoming, for lack of a better term. Just something to think. But we have so much work to do, but we're so grateful for people like you, all who you didn't have to do this. You're really like in the shadows. A lot of people don't even know you're there. It seems almost like a thankless kind of job. You know what I mean? But you're doing it. Because I can imagine a lot of the agencies that like look at you like, oh, how nice that you all are doing. Oh, isn't that sweet? Your little organization. But you see what I'm saying? I bet you, I can just sense it. So I just want to say this. We got to do this. We got to do a 90-minute special. We have barely scratched the surface. How many kids are languishing in between families today, would you say, offhand? Anybody know what the current numbers are?
Well, I'd have to look back. There was just a new report put out. I'd have to find it for you, and we could put it in the link so people can see exactly where that's at.
Okay.
It's the adoption trends, and it breaks it down into different categories. And then you can there's a little snapshot thing, but then you can look through the whole thing in terms of where adoptions occurring, which ones are reduced. International adoptions have gone way down, for instance.
That was like a fad, wasn't it?
Uh-huh. So like I'm not even going to say the percentage, but it was something here. I'm going to say it something like 17% or something like that. But by the numbers, it's called, and we can certainly get that to you so people can take a look at that too.
Yeah. We were running into. I met a lot of kids, believe it or not, here in the Chicagoland area when we were. Matter of fact, I got some letters to deliver today. From our these are from kids in Romania headed to the kids here in my town. And when we got the volunteers for that, I was shocked that we had I think we had 150 students writing, and 27 or so of them were international adoptees, mainly from Ukraine, because of the war and whatnot. So I'm sure there's an increase now with Gaza and all that. That's another thing. We get a lot of those when there is a war or something going on. You guys use the word orphan around your house? You don't. See, that's another thing. See, that's what I'm saying. If people are going to talk about these things, they need to know what words, because I didn't even know are what is the thing they used to what's the term? Politically correct terms, because we don't want to use the word orphan anymore. What do you use? Adoptee? Okay, so
Yeah.
Orphan's a nasty word, right?
Well, it kind of limits, and like you said, it has certain connotations that may not even be accurate.
Right. and
Yeah.
orphanages, that sort of thing.
Yeah, because people who are in without a parent may not actually be parentless. That so that is that makes it that's really a tough one. Yeah.
And what is the age? See, I could keep going. We'll be here till noon if I don't stop and wrap this show up. I've never gone this late ever, but this is important. This is my heart. What is the age? The minimum age, is it 18 where a person could adopt if they wanted to? Because you can have kids at that age even earlier. Anything on that? What is the youngest age that you've heard of someone?
Well, we're not adults until we're 18. So
right.
A social worker has the regulation or the guidelines and the authority to make that decision if a person is, qualified to adopt. When she does a home study, she's going to ask some person like their financial background, that she's going to look into, any kind of misbehavior or malceiving or, anything in their background that can interfere with them adopting a child, and then talk to people that know this particular person who's interested in adopting. But now, people all over the spectrum, people who are single are adopting. It was a time when couples couldn't adopt if they were of the same sex. That's changed.
Yes.
We have stepfathers who are adopting, stepmothers who are adopting.
That's right.
So
Grandparents.
it's all over.
Lots of that. Man, so much stuff to unpack. I'm just so grateful to you ladies for the work you're doing.
Well, we are grateful to you, Dr. Lauren.
Yes, we are. Thank you for reaching out and allowing us to come forward with this information. And I'm excited and challenged to come back.
Yes, and we're going to do something with you guys, like I said, to raise awareness. But I also want to do something at least once a year from our side of the table to help raise funds for you all specifically. So we're going to talk about that, how we can do that, and resources and things like that to help what you're doing continue, because I really think we need more of it. So thank you so much. Anything you want to leave the people with today to encourage them that you have the opportunity now to just put out there? What would you like them to know?
I would say you're not alone.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
You're not alone.
I would say to adoptees, you are enough.
Perfect.
You're not alone. You are enough. So, yeah.
Perfect. It truly, speaking, you guys, as we get out of here, and again, thank you for indulging and staying over a little bit today for this topic. Coming from someone who was not legally adopted, so I'm still a foster kid. I just went and visited foster mother number 3 a few weeks ago. She's 99 years old in Huntsville, Alabama. And I will say this. It took me, I think I was near 40 some years old when I realized that relatives are what are based in blood. Families are simply based in love. And so, should you be one of those people, or a kid who is still seeking their forever family, be a person who loves them, and then they will have a family member in you. That's what I want to say for that, because I love my family. I love my family, and many of them are watching the show, and I just found them here today for the first time. So I'm so grateful, like I said, to you all. And all of you out there, please go look at the bottom, see there's their website, please go. They're also on LinkedIn. There's the LinkedIn connection. Go over and see how you might be able to contribute to the work they are already doing. This is a worthy cause, and it is so necessary. It really is. Ladies, I thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Hang out for just a second backstage, if you will. I want to throw something in so we don't lose what we've been talking about doing next. Okay. So I want to put that in the pipeline today. All right.
All
right.
You all, thank you so much. Tomorrow, who's here? Oh, tomorrow, the experts are in the house, and we're going to be talking about. I'll tell you in the morning. It's going to be extraordinary. Try to be here if you can. 8 a.m. Central. We'll see you. Sharon, Sally, thank you both so very, very much. I look forward to partnering with you all. Ongoing. You have my word on that. Okay.
Thank you.
So thank you. And the other ladies, thank them for us as well, even though they're not here
We'll
today.
pass the word.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Lauren.
Absolutely. You all get over and check them out. I will see you tomorrow morning out on the front porch, 8 a.m. Central, for another illuminated conversation, God willing. Now get out, be your best self today. Find an E and an R. That's all you need. You're already great. You find a way to be greater. You're already nice. Find a way to be nicer. And I promise you, you will not regret it. Now, don't let my screen door slam on the way out of here, okay? Remember, Dr. Lauren tells you every single day, I love you. And there's not a damn thing you can do about it. Nothing. It's just going to be. Listen, have the best day. Ladies, see ya.
Thank you. Thank you.
Keep doing what you're doing. You're amazing. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Show me your soul. Baby, I'll show you mine. Show me your soul. Honey, it's way past time. How expensive do I have to be? Need I spell it out before you get it, baby? Show me your soul. And honey, I'll show you mine. I'll show you mine. Boy, I'm standing right here holding up a sign, shamelessly displaying my state of mind.